is speech. Yeah? Articulation of certain sounds as those varnas, or the colors, or the hues, which vibrate in different way and create meanings. Many meanings will be created in just applying these hues into different contexts, and these will be contextual meanings. The whole development of language is based on this, of this application of the primary significances or vibrations. So if you look into this, what he says about these uh, 5 varnas, he speaks about 4 here.
Right.
He didn't touch on Li, but we will touch on it, because again we compare also to what Panini says, and also we will see that they're very close, Ri and Li. But Li has another dimension of, it is less sharp and more kind of slow gliding, sliding. You have L everywhere where this leaking, yeah. So you will have this, yeah, it's leaking, exactly, yes.
Licking.
Huh?
Licking is what I'm thinking.
Oh, sorry, leaking, yes. It's my pronunciation there. Lick, yes. Leaking is also with correct. That is exactly that, leaking, sliding, gliding, leaking also, loving, slayed. You will have these kind of anyhow, wherever you have r, there will be more sharp, breaking through, vibrating within. It will be kind of, through breaking. You will have this r everywhere, vibrating, crushing, and clashing, crushing and clashing. If you compare, you will see it everywhere. This kind of slight shift towards less sharp. Yeah, clashing is more like, crushing is more like this. So
That's very cool, Vladimir.
yeah, it is there. It is psychological. It's not something which it's within the apparatus. When we pronounce it, it has this psychological varna in us. Yeah, that it is automatically there. This is the Brihaspati speech, which is true to itself. It doesn't need some kind of application, contextual application. But if we say, we take for example, and it belongs to the back tongue, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, and is even deeper, it's just vibration of the vocal cords, then there is no more articulation in the mouth, it just goes out, the sound, So then you could really understand why he says, and Abhinavagupta says the same on that it is an absolute existence, being in its simplicity without any further idea or of modification or quality, mere or initial being creative of space. So we are, it creates the being, it is the being in itself, it's something, but it is not defined by anything. There is no effort to make it something. It is as it is, just the vocal cords, the voice. But the moment we move to the tongue, tongue is pushing towards the palate, and we have E. So E is the most intense in a way, because the tongue has to push towards the palate, towards the top. In our system, it is felt as the heaven, top, the hard palate.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why it is called even this. Talavia. It is called. It's not.
Yeah, never thought of it that way, but it's true. It's, when you think just this. Oh yeah, there is force in that. There's a whole, which is why it's not the, and obviously as we're going to see, but that's why it's not included in Om.
Because it's constricting.
Yeah.
Constrictive feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more intense, and it's kind of like being narrowed, forceful, and insistent, intense state of existence tending to a goal. It's like an arrow flying to hit the goal, and seeking to occupy space. It's interesting that seeking to occupy space is also like, it's like an arrow on the, even if you see how it is written, even in Latin, it will be one and dot on the top. It's like this, very concentrated. It's focusing onto one pointedness. This one pointedness is E.
Hmm.
Mm.
Interesting.
And you can find it in all the roots. If it would be not so, then you would, we would, and wherever E will appear, it would have this kind of holding in one, or concentrating into one point. Yeah, if you take roots of the pure, the examination of the roots later will come, like in the pure, like chi chi ji ji ni. Yes, this is the E varga. 5 vowels correspond to 5 levels of articulation. It's very interesting. Yeah? Kak, ha, ga, gha, nga is A, chi, chi, ji, ji, ni is E, t, t, is Ri, t, is Li, and pu, pu, bu, bu, mu is U. So I'm just connecting with vowels,
Yeah,
these
right.
consonants, to make the first root system. This is the first etymological matrix from which all the other roots will be derived. So whenever we find pure roots like chi, ji, shi, we have to examine their meaning, their direct contextual meaning, and see how they were derived from this important value of this relative existence. Or this tendency to occupy the space, of being forceful, insistent. And we can see it in chi, from here, chit, yeah? Chit consciousness, but chi, chinoti, chinute, has a meaning of gathering into one point, piling up everything into one place. It's kind of paying attention, chinute. He concentrates his consciousness on one something, noticing something out of everything, and kind of gathering that particular point or focal point, focusing consciousness, holding it there. And from here, this power, cheat. Cheat is to notice everything, and this cheat itself becomes the creative force of the being. It selects out of the infinite being the elements and gives them shape. It is the shaping consciousness. And G, if you take root G, jayati, jayate, to prevail, to conquer, then you will see that Chi and G are very intense in that particular format, and they are fitting totally into this E idea.
Same with me.
Excuse me, I'll just mute this.
No problem.
And the same with me.
Ni, yes, ni to lead, yes, correct. But na is already, na is totally a different varga. I'm keeping the same varga, yeah? The same palatal varga, chi, ji, and shi. Shi is to sharpen and also to lie down. With lie down, there is a question why it is sharpening and lying down. I'm not sure about, because this root shi is very unique in the sense that it is using in the second class always guna, she. Yeah. And this is kind of, yeah, it's a question. Yeah, I do not have answer for lying down. I have a sense of it, what it could mean. Yeah, and sharpening is also making thinner and thinner, sharper and sharper. And lying down also has something to do with this.
Yeah.
And from here, sham, to become peaceful. Yes, also. Like maybe, like, I do not know, the idea of peace.
But yeah, that takes a little bit of stretching there, I think. But chi is, would there be, and this is probably totally off the wall, but would there be any association with the qi and the, like Chinese medicine connection?
I have no idea, truly speaking. Chinese is built totally on different principle of the
Okay.
visual language. Yeah, it's always the sign, because
Right.
they pronounce it very differently in different
Okay.
parts of China. So
Right.
people from Beijing and Shanghai cannot communicate because they sound different language. Yeah? But
Mhm.
what they do, they stand at the shore and right on the beach. Yeah, it's a sign. Then they understand each other. They understand each other through the visual language. It's quite a unique form. It's totally not vocal language. It's not really built on this system
Okay.
of what we have in Sanskrit.
Wow.
Mhm. It,
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't fit somehow for some reason. I do not know where
Yeah.
it comes from. It comes from another planet or something.
Yeah. He just got me thinking about that. It's like, whoa. It's visual, and yet they have to speak the visual. How do they do that? How do they figure it out?
Yeah, they have these elements of pictograms,
Yeah. Right.
and they put these elements together, and somehow they arrive at this meaning, what very abstract. They use abstractions to arrive at concrete meanings.
Wow.
Mm,
That is that's a whole study in and of itself. But
right.
anyway, I don't know if it's necessary, but just curious.
No, it is. It is for linguists. For us, it's important to see different ways of, because we are becoming more and more visual in language. Yeah? We are visualizing the script. We think that the script is the language. It's that part of our faculty of consciousness which interferes. And it should actually. That's why we have the script. That's why we have E written with a dot on the top as a one line. There's something psychologically still expressing the sound, in the terms of the form of the letter. Mm.
Hmm.
And of course, E, R, E, U, these are the three fundamental vowels. Vowels are interesting because they are infinite. They have no stop, yeah? A, E, U. They have no beginning, no end. And in that sense, they are all, as Shobindu would say, that all the vowels, simple vowels, indicate the primary idea of being, existence, in some elementary aspect or modification suggested by the innate quality or guna of the sound denoting it. So these are all these infinite kind of expressions of the being. If A is absolute existence, then E is relative existence. This is the fundamental quality of E, and U is pervasive existence.
Yeah, you can see that too.
Uh-huh,
Get that right away. Ooh, at that.
right. E is like piercing, and U is like, like pervasive of the space, kind of contained and progressive existence. There's some kind of, there's more substance to it, or more space in it. E is
Yeah.
more like a needle in the space, and
Hmm.
U is taking the space with itself, extended but not diffused state of existence,
Yeah.
being medial and firmly occupant of space. It's already holding the space from within.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying that avatu, mam, avatu, that's what we are pronouncing all the time. Root av is from root u, it's just guna from u.
Yeah.
And from here, if you have the sense, then you understand how it is doing, and you can look into the contextual meanings of root as to protect. We can look into what dictionary gives. Dictionary gives only a selection of the meanings. Yes,
Hmm.
you can give more to it, yeah, if you want to, because you could feel it and see it how it is being used. Mm. If you look into the dictionary, I can open the dictionary. Wait a minute. That's also a very good thing for us to learn how to use dictionary in this particular way. So if you look at to drive, to impel, to animate, um, to promote, to favor, to satisfy, to refresh. Look at these meanings. What does it really mean? And it just let us try to find that central meaning from which all these meanings could be derived.
Mhm.
So it has this impelling, strong force of animation, of making alive, the thing. So
Yeah.
because it moves like with occupying the space, and this promotes, favors, satisfies, refreshes all the bits and pieces of this space which we are dealing with is being refreshed. Uh,
Mhm.
mm, to lead or to bring to,
Yeah.
or uh,
Or defend.
defend, protect, govern. These are, I'm more on the govern than to defend. Defend because it is occupant of the space. It is already there. It's a pure meaning for us. Pure of that significance of the occupant of the space. So once it is refreshed from within, when this is promoted or kind of yes, to be pleased with, even to like, it is like mm, yeah. Then once it is filled in with, then it is guarded, defended, protecting, governing. And so basically, this kind of filling in, is the value of it. Filling in and guarding. So once you are filled in, you are kind of from within, kind of, so the force is spreading, then you are protected. So the protection is taking place from this occupying the space, so to say.
Yeah. Even that orientation is a departure, from an ordinary course way of thinking about it, but it's much more solid because it is pervasive. It's there, and that's why it can protect and also give that sense of satisfying.
Yes, and guidance and
Yeah.
governing. So
Yeah.
all of these, and animation, it gives you the force to be alive. It is making you alive. It refreshes all the energies. It is, all these meanings will be there somewhere saying something of this particular central significance.
Yeah.
Unless they are wrongly kind of figured out, which is also the case sometimes in the
Mhm.
dictionary. You
Yeah.
may find this, but it won't be totally wrong. It would be just, you have to a little bit see, if we get the central meaning, all those meanings will be kind of located, in a particular way of
Yeah.
applying it to different contexts.
Context. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
You see that.
So, and if you take U in any other root, you will see this duality, and that's what I was, in that longer text, I was diving into, to look into how it is in dvau, and even in English, thou and you, everywhere U is present for the second person, because second person is actually duality, me and someone else. The dialogue is taking place. So there's duality, and dva, two. And everywhere you will see U as a part of that particular, holding the space in between two opposites. And also opposition of U, we can see it in many forms, like V. V is to split two into one, is split into two. Yes, so kind of from here, Vishnu. Vishnu is described beautifully in Taittiriya Aranyaka, that Vishnu is holding two in one, yes, the heaven and earth. So U and E, you see these two fundamental significances. U, duality, space, and E is the central holder. So we have this V. Or U, if I put it opposite, E plus U, you will see that U has uniting, first meaning, and dividing. So it depends how you look at it, yeah. It can be, both meanings are there.
Right, right. As is often the case with the, again, when you look up a lot of these words too, just in general, in the dictionary, you often find the opposite meaning of the.
Yes, because the central meaning is elsewhere, but these are applications, yeah. It can be applied, U is like two in one, can be applied as one is becoming two. This is, you know, dividing. And if you apply two in one opposite way, then it is uniting. So the same duality held together can be dividing or uniting. And it is there in Sanskrit language. It's so beautiful that they don't bother about still kind of to reconcile it into our mind, because our mind needs certainty, you know, black and white. They don't go for it yet. Later, yes, they do this. And then you take huge, yud, and all other roots, which are extended roots. And this is another important thing to understand in etymology, that the first root, the first syllable is the most powerful, yes, like you. And then you have j, extension of the root, yuj. So j is less powerful than you. It's kind of, it's the hierarchy of power of significance, so to say. So the root is the most powerful. Then the affix or suffix is more in relation of this root to the significance of the word which we built. Yeah? It tells us how this word is to be used, whether it will be a noun or an adjective or anything like. Yeah? And
So it consistently follows that in every just about, or
right. These suffixes have this more grammatical significance. They are creating a grammatical unit or the word. And then the ending. Ending is more responsible for connection to other words. So ending tells us how this word relates to any other word in the sentence or in the text, the relational significance. So these suffix and ending cannot be treated as roots, you know, in that meaning. That's the difficulty for the folk etymology, because they take every syllable as if it is a root. No, in this particular setting, they have their position which they occupy, and they bring that particular significance needed for the text to function. So in the root, the same thing. If the root are usually roots are monosyllabic, so one syllable only, but in that syllable, the first syllable and the closure is kind of modifying the first powerful expression, like you becomes j, huge, yeah, from here, yoga and so on. And so yoking already, it's no more holding two in one, or it's not uniting, though it's still uniting, yoking. Yeah? And yudh. Now, dh will modify this u in such a way that it becomes fighting, yeah? Like an opposition. It's not really coming together. They are held together, but they are confirming their opposition. So that is fighting. So if we look into this, we could see that there is a kind of transparent, that's what I call this theory of transparent and etymology. We can figure out and see the meanings, kind of how they are organized within the language. Yeah? And not in a rational way, not totally mentally, but it requires both mind and intuition, and something more, psychological recognition within ourselves, so to say.
Wow. Yeah.
And also we need to do it quite often and on the big scale with many roots, and kind of checking and diving deeper, meditating, thinking deeply, contemplating, finding and we will be many times mistaken, that's okay. But something in us will be sharpening slowly that intuition to recognize the value of the roots.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Re's we already spoke of, it's quite obvious. Everywhere where Re is, there will be something to transgress, to overcome Tri, from here, Tri, trans, yeah? Tri suffix or Tri root, to cross over, crossing. Always will be some kind of thing or space or obstacle to be broken through, yeah, to pass through, to go through. So, and the meaning of the root is to go, to attend. From here we have all these roots, beautiful and rhythm, the dynamic truth, the rhythm, yeah, this vibration which is repeating itself. All these meanings will be there,
Yeah.
fitting very well into Rishi and Rig Veda and all these.
What about Arjavam, which is a
Riju, yes, Arjava from here. Riju is the sincere, directness, not giving in to any other movement, not deviating, focusing and breaking through one point until it is done, so to say. And even such words as Ari. Ari is nothing but from Ri, I think, the guna from Ri. Like Av is guna from U. Yeah, these simple roots. You can see Ari has the meaning of the enemy and the friend, also both so opposite meanings. More of the enemy in the later language. But it is someone who resists, yeah? This resistance is there, or stubbornness of some kind. You know, you do not give in or give up. So you have your own formation for that. From here, rupa, form, which is more rigid, which is carved, krit, yeah, cutting, krintati, all these roots with shaping, carving, something which has its own, so to say, shape, form. Yeah, if you can compare all these roots, what they do with Ri, you will see that significance of drilling. Yeah.
drilling,
Drooling, crushing, and
yeah.
so on. Yeah, and about Li we spoke. This is a modulation of Ri in a more softer way. You know?
I just wanted to ask one question.
Hmm?
You know, the agency nouns all have the re, Kartri.
Yes, absolutely. Kri. If you look into the root Kri, we will see the Krit is a modulation afterwards. It's to cut. And it is very close to Kri itself, which is also to cut. Krinoti. We have this in the 5th class in the Veda, which is actually what is really doing. Let us making. What is making? Doesn't make sense, you know? Making. What does it really imply? What do you do when you make? If we ask our kind of, we are kind of assuming that we understand the meanings, but the most general meanings we hardly can understand. Making, doing. What is doing? Um, eh, so if I have to do something, what do I do? What I call doing. So I take this cup and put it here. It's doing, yes, or something. So what do? I take it out of there and rearrange it. I put it elsewhere. So it's inevitable. I must cut out from something to be doing. It is like a rearranging of things, taking one part from there, putting it there, and that is what is doing. Is it not so? There must be something of that kind, even in thought, even in feelings. I must do that shift or that rearrangement of those elements in a new fashion. So doing is cutting out, cutting something which is undifferentiated into differentiated portions and arranging them in a new fashion. So this is creativity of some kind. Yeah, I am now playing with these elements as I want. I make elements out of this being.
So, I mean, that opens up a whole lot of thought around I mean, even the word creativity in English.
Create, yes.
Associated with that, but to Penny's question too, the cartre, boctre. So you would say that that's.
Oh, to the suffix "tri," I didn't understand. I thought "cartri" you are focused more on "cri" as a doer.
No,
yes.
About the agency.
Agency "tri." Oh, I didn't have. I jumped on it very happily on "cri" because I thought about this root "cri." So.
Well, it was fascinating. That was fascinating to hear. But.
Yeah, "tri" is the same suffix, yes, of the doer. Or doer, yes, what we have, mother, father, these are trees from Latin in Sanskrit. And if you look at the root 3 to cross over, yeah, to travel from here, Tara is also the movement, yeah, or the boxes. They call it's from Latin, boxes, Tara. Yeah, Tara is where you put things to shift. Yeah? It is like a boat which is carrying it. This is the carrier of that action. So it's quite obvious that it becomes Kartri, the doer of Kri, yeah? So the carrier of this particular action. Datri, the carrier of Da, of giving, and so on. And also these in the mantra or yantra or tantra and so on. Tra is the neuter form of tri. Yes, we have it also. It's the carrier of the mind, mantra. Or yes, tantra, the carrier of the tan, of this action of spreading, and that's why it is the thread. Yeah. And again, the re plays here a role. And then the re can become r, ra. And then you will have other meanings with ra everywhere. Or ar, arka from Rik. And Rig Veda and so on. There is something also interesting about interpretation of the sounds in terms of our faculties of consciousness. For example, arka can be a light or the sun, and arka can be the word. Yeah? So the sound and this light, the hearing and seeing, these two major faculties are throughout. You will see, and touch can be also touch. So these major faculties will be there to express, how to say, different contextual meanings of these roots. That's why it can be seeing and hearing in the same root. You know?
Interesting.
Yeah, I noticed this, that it's many times with the major roots. And if you look at I didn't mention root E, Indo-European root E, to go. to move. This is also an important vision of why to move. What is this moving? And if you look into the roots of Sanskrit language, you will find that many of them have this meaning of movement. Too many, maybe half of them or more than half of them. Whenever, this Padapatha, when it assigns meanings to the words, to the roots, they do not know what to assign, and they understood it in this way. They put to go, to move. Whatever they don't know, they would put to go. Yeah? I was surprised. Why do they it's an easy way out. Yeah. Because any root does something, it makes some difference. So there will be some movement.
Yeah. It's their fallback.
Yeah, very general significance of movement. And E is the first and the most important. It makes, as a relative existence, it notices the difference. So the difference comes with this kind of intensifying the existence, or making it relative, making it related to something. And this relation to something, this noticing the difference, is actually a movement. There is no other way. You know how animals are looking, all these kind of these lizards and so on, they're staying there long time, just by immobile. And if something moves, they're jumping on it. Just movement. The difference in something which is immobile. Then there is some vibration. Oops, this is movement. That relative exists. It is no more the same with the rest. So this kind of difference is what E represents also. There's a movement. Yeah. Well, these are kind of my findings, which I was thinking of.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, and that's why E is actualizing, always actualizing the reality, making it more vivid, more, how to say, actual. So if you take even the roots like vadat or bhavat, I will take this participle bhavat or vadat, speaking. So vadati is speaking now. Vadati means actually speaking. E at the end is really doing this strange actualization. And you can see in the present tense everywhere E. Not everywhere, second person, even second person, vadasi. Even in the first person, vadami, vadavasi, vadamasi was the Vedic form, not vadavaha, vadamaha. Vadavasi, vadamasi, E has to be there because it is actualizing, making it more present or more noticeable, as it were.
Right. Yeah. So was that true too in the not just in the first person, but also, second person? And did that in the Vedic, was there in the Vedic dual, plural endings?
Yeah, in the dual, in the second person only vadasi. Yes, there is no vadathasi. I didn't see this form. I would not be surprised if it would be somewhere in some kind of vibhasha form somewhere would pop up. I would not be surprised, but because of these understanding why E is there,
Right. Right.
but maybe it was lost before, or just but if you analyze from this point, you see and if abhavat or avadat as a past tense. So if I say vadat is speaking, then avadat is the one who doesn't speak, or so to say, who is not actual. In the front makes it kind of indifferent. It's like white color. You are painting over the painting. You have a painting and you paint white color. You would see something there, but it's not actual. It's not vivid, as it were. So it makes it shift to some other time or space. or some other actual event which is not now. So it is non-actualizing it in front of the participle. So avadat, he spoke, so to say, he speaks, but not now, in some other time. And vadati.
I never thought of the augment like that.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, that's just the e thing in the present tense. That's
Yeah, but you will see this asatyam, anritam. You will see it everywhere in the noun system, where it is playing this role of non-actualization. Yeah, so it's truth asatyam, which is not now. Yeah, it belongs to some other context where it is true. So when you speak asatyam, you speak the truth, which is not actual, actually. Which is non-actual truth you speak. That means a lie. Quite interesting. Yes, so truth is still there, but it does not belong to this actualization. So you can see this has this role in we in our mind and our mental approach. We say it is negating particle, but it is not really. It's actually non-actualizing particle. It's not making it opposite, it makes it non-actual. It's quite interesting to think in those terms, because then we are closer to this etymological thinking.
yes, it changes the whole orientation.
Right.
Express it that way.
That's why in Sanskrit we do not have lie. We have asatyam, yeah, anritam. You don't have a lie. You have ritha, mithya, but these are kind of vain. That's not lie, actually. I think Sanskrit was not creating negative terms independently. It's quite interesting. Only positive terms and non-actual positive terms. So, and that's also another feature of Sanskrit. So plays a role here, kind of, if it is in front, because in front what it does, it brings this element of absolute indifferent, non-modified existence. And in a sense, it is kind of addressing it, or kind of making it fade away, as it were, making it less distinct, less standing out, as it were, diluting it into this space of beingness. You disappear in that Satchitananda, as it were. Yes.
It's there, but it's not there. And by putting it in the front, it's out of the gate, it's telling you this is the nature of this thing, because it's right there at the beginning of the word.
Absolutely. Yes, it's there, but it is not there. Yes, correct. Yeah. It's not distinctly there or actually there. It is there, but not actualized. It's not intensified, which E is doing. It is intensifying. And you would see this vado too. Also, I was trying to fit everything into it. So you could see something. It's quite interesting that plays the role of the lack or the need, something which you want to add to it, that kind of goes elsewhere. You will see this in una as something which is lacking. And other words, because of this duality or this kind of so vada tu could be, and this it's only in the third person, unfortunately. So and only in Parasmaipadam. So maybe it is not totally applicable, but there is something about this duality and the lack you could see that that could play this role. I was analyzing other words also, which were quite interesting. For example, ku, the root ku, kukanya, yeah? There's su and ku and du. If you take these prefixes, you will see something there. Kukanya is bad girl. Yeah, that means not a girl. Yeah, some kind of. Ku is this kind of making it lacking the girlship, so to say. Um,
Hmm.
you will see something when you start analyzing, of that kind. But I will not go into U too much, but just telling you that I was thinking about it. But A and E are quite obvious and distinct and standing out.
In Atmanepada with the A endings, you know, what would how would you comment on that?
Yeah, it's quite a thing to think. Yes, it's already guna of E, so that means A and E joined together, and they made it less distinct, and still it is there. Yeah, so to say, it is doing this. It is creating this sense of middle voice.
Hmm. Because Atmanepada is supposed to be associated with the individual, which is why it's called Atmanepada,
Mm.
right? Would that have anything to do with the variation?
Yeah, I think A has its role, because R and E, R is, but in this position at the end, it is actually pointing out to this to the less distinct action. And
Mhm.
once it is less distinct, as E is very distinct, and R A is less distinct. It's kind of mixed up with and kind of loosened up. And that tells us that it is kind of not belonging to the outside. It is rather action which is still belonging to the self, so to say, pointing. I'm speculating, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
speculating within the format we created.
right, right.
Mm.
Your speculation is making sense.
Yeah, well, still it's a speculation. Yeah. But within the format we believe it works, because we see it in the roots, we see it in the meanings of how they are built up, and it will. The most beautiful language of this kind, where you can trace these meanings and justify their usage, is in the Vedic language. In the classical, it's much less. It becomes more mental, more within the mental structure. It's becoming like black and white. Yeah, it's playing the role of, huh?
Technical.
Yeah, more technical and more structured, or more um, less intuitive and less, but it is still there because language is there.
Right.
As the mother describes the word, it's quite interesting. She says there are three types of words, why words have the action. And the first type is that the word has its own, it's like a battery, she says. The word accumulated the energy of the past, and that's why it acts. Because it was used for thousands of years within a particular significance to create a particular energy. It has a connection to that inner state of being, or the power of the inner consciousness. So whenever you say the word, it is doing it, yeah? Whether you want it or not. This is one type of influence. There is another, she says, where the word does not have that, but the one who is using that word is assigning to it a particular power of his thought and intuition. And in the moment of speaking, he is choosing this particular word to express that intuition or idea, and it plays its role. Well, it
Mhm.
does it. So because of the consciousness which is using it, so it's poetic way of using it. Yeah? So kind of this contrast of word having that accumulated as a battery power or not, yeah, and can be used by the consciousness still, and the power can be assigned to it. So this first type is these roots, I think, this Vedic language, which accumulated a great power in the words. And it is more tangible for us. We can really discover it. We don't need to refer to what did you mean to say. Yeah? We don't need to plunge into your consciousness and try to individually figure out what somebody wanted to say. It's already there, inbuilt, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And it will help us to figure out what we are here to understand. Okay, this was the thing of these vowels. So we will jump into consonants next time, I guess.
Great.
I do not know how far, I know that it is a fascinating subject. The problem with our mind that we have to hold it, and make our own. We have to do this investigation or this study by ourselves. We have to dive and see whether it is so. And if yes, then how and why. This is the work we will have to do.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, I think that in the context of when we do return to the hymns, I think that this will allow us to look at them from this perspective, and I think it'll be much more powerful in understanding.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating nevertheless, but yes, it will lend itself to really appreciating the terms or the usage of the roots in the verses.
Right.
So,
And even some of the the idea that, okay, well, they put this one in because it needed to accommodate the meter. That may be true on one order of reality, but it may be, no, they put this one in because this particular, so to speak, synonym carries a different message. Does that make sense, Funny?
Yeah, totally. Very intuitive statement. There must be a place for that prolonging a or e for no reason, seemingly no reason. It's not so. There is a reason always. There is a rhythm. There is another powerful kind of device which we have to look into, the meter. These meters are being created, these Anushtup, Trishtup, what they really mean, Jagati, and so on. Why they are there, what role they play. Sri Aurobindo says these were divinized, these were the rhythms of creation by which everything came into manifestation. So they're kind of building up or accommodating the sound into particular creative, powerful agency. And we feel that every time we read some poetry or epic poetry, it acts upon us not only through what they say, but how it rhythmically, it slowly, does something to us, that we become more receptive of that power.
Right. Yes, and the impact is much more because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of the simple device of alliteration, where a poet will have all the same sounds in a particular passage of the poem. And now because I think of why are they emphasizing that particular sound in a different way, and think of it in other than just it's a poetic device that we're taught.
Right, and here there will be the answer for why that prolongation took place or that change took place, because the rhythm had to take this sound into its own body and make it work. Right, great. So, okay, so we can stop here and close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.